So you're creating health content and you're putting your heart, your soul, your time, your energy into posting, but you're finding that the posting is not leading to purchases and your content isn't converting to new clients. Why is that? They said record videos, they said, publish a podcast, they said, and you're doing whatever it is that they said to do, but yet as you create content on social media, it seems that you're still not getting clients. Or maybe you're not posting on social media. Maybe you're speaking at events and you do a lot of speaking and where you're teaching health lectures and seminars, but they're not necessarily bringing in those paying clients when you're done talking. Why is that? Why is it that your health content isn't converting to new clients? There's three reasons. And I'll say one of the biggest reason is that you're not overcoming objections in your content. What do I mean by that? I mean, in my experience, the first 5 years I was doing cooking classes, health seminars, health lectures around the nation. And as I was giving all the steps, as I was teaching exactly everything they needed to do, it just seems that the more you teach, the less they buy. And why is that? It's because buying is a behavior, and all behaviors are belief driven. Like, write that down. All behaviors are belief driven. What that means is if you want someone to buy, say, your health program, your fitness program, your course, your books, or whichever product or program you're selling, if you want people to pay, then you have to address the beliefs that they have that prevents them from paying. There's fundamental questions, lingering questions that every buyer has to have answered before they will actually pay. For instance, they want to know, does it work? Does the methodology you teach actually work? They want to know, like, well, can I do it? Do I have the ability to do it? And then third is, do I have the resources to do it? If you're not answering those questions, then you could be talking about anything and everything under the sun. But if it's not educating them closer to a sale, then that's not going to have the same effect. In fact, creating content without overcoming objections is kind of like shooting a bow and arrow blindfolded. You're just kind of taking shots out there, but you have no definite target. There's no specific objective. And you want every word, every single word that you are saying is either a repelling statement, meaning that it's pushing people away from your offer, or it's a selling statement, which is attracting people closer to your offer. And like for an example, I was coaching someone yesterday, and she is a doctor who's helping people to overcome type 2 diabetes. And we were speaking about how if she wants to sell a health mentorship program, then she has to teach about the value of having a mentor, the value of not trying to go on this journey alone, the value of expertise. And then she thought of a quote, an old African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, do it alone. If you want to go far, go together. And while that may sound good in the, like as it sounds, and that sounds good, but what we discuss is that a lot of people are wanting to heal faster. They don't want to go the slow and the hard way. They want to go the faster, more likely to achieve path. And if you're saying that going alone is going to get them faster, rather than going with you, your mentorship is going to get you faster, then that is a repelling statement. That's not a selling statement. Every question, every story, every quote that you share is going to be either repelling them away from your offer, where they do not buy, or it's selling them towards your offer, where they say, sign me up for that, I'll take 3, I'll take 2. And understanding this distinction is what helps me to go from a struggling health educator to be able to make $10,000 a month in my early 20s through with signature speech, by learning how to communicate to crowds in a way that actually converts, that actually educates, inspires, and adds value and makes a difference, while also helping people to decide that they want to sign up for our health programs. These are the principles that helped us to make, in our family business, over $500,000 in profit. It's by addressing the objections that people have. And you do it, it's not so much that you're addressing the objections like directly. It's not that you're arguing with a person. It's just that you are able to express it in advance, so that by the time they see your offer, all of their questions are already answered. But what a lot of people do is they talk about everything undirect that has nothing to do with the action that the health educator wants their audience to take. Instead, you want to begin with the back end in mind and think about, well, what is your offer? If you're talking about weight loss, and let's talk about your weight loss. If you want people to invest in a program about reversing diabetes, then you have to build belief in your methodology for doing that. So it's clear like that. How many of you would like to eliminate objections entirely? Type yes in the chat if you see that this is something that you would love to be able to speak. And when you're done speaking, people don't have questions, concerns. They have credit cards and order forms. They're already filled out. They've got calls booked on your calendar to be able to work with you. What we've done is I've actually put together what I call Skills Unlimited AI, and this is the world's first and only AI-powered copywriter that's specifically designed to help holistic health educators to monetize their knowledge online. It helps to write the copy and the sales, the words. It helps you to identify objections, all sorts of things. And I'll show you how you could use this. In fact, this is what Tiffany was able to do. She came to me. She's a homeschooling mother. She's a teacher, an author, an ADHD coach, and she was like, I'm creating content that's not converting. I'm putting this effort. I'm doing these podcasts. I'm interviewing people, but I'm not really getting qualified leads or people who are ready to buy. And she's just like, I want to know, what do I need to do to have a profitable program? And what do I need to post about that will actually bring in business? So she got access to this AI studio. I'll share with you how to use it. And she was able to plan her entire content calendar for the week in minutes. So within getting access, how many of you would like to have your entire content calendar planned in minutes? Type yes in the chat, because it doesn't have to be hard. It can be simple, and not just content for content's sake, but when she was able to publish her content, she was finally able to get people signing up, raising their hands, getting on calls, converting those calls, and actually getting paying clients to start having a profitable program. And that's what she was deeply desiring. So the first mistake that I made that made my content not convert was that I wasn't overcoming objections in my content. And when you start doing that, it makes such a big difference. The second thing is that really the second reason is because you're speaking at your audience instead of with your audience. I like to think about, you might be asking, well, Enoch, what do you mean by that? Having a sales conversation is a conversation. Your job is not to speak to an audience. Your job is it's not to share, to present your sales message to your audience. It is to facilitate the conversation, your sales message from your audience with your audience. And what I mean by that is, instead of you just sharing all these facts, figures, and health stats with them, by asking questions, by involving them, interacting them, engaging them. There's a concept that I learned from Russell Brunson, and he was mentioning that when he first started selling from stage, he was going to the he would speak, and then at the end, he would make an offer, but people weren't really buying. But then there's this one guy who was really good at this, and when he spoke, he had people lined up and around the room with cash in hand, order forms, like literally a table rush where people would go back and they would all kind of rush this table where his products and programs were, and they're ready to sign up when he's done speaking. He's like, how are you doing that? And so this man invited younger Russell to go out for lunch, and he was talking to him. And they were talking about sales and closing, and Russell's just like bobbing his head, just saying, yeah, this makes sense. And he's like, you see what I'm doing right now? He's like, what's that? He says, your head's moving. Yeah? And when you speak, when I look at the back of the room and I see no one's head is moving, no one is being engaged. And when I'm speaking, you see a sea of heads going like this in the audience because they're asking a lot of questions. And when you're able to ask questions, when you're able to interact and engage, from the stage, it looks like, how many of you believe that God has given us an innate ability to heal ourselves? People are like, yeah. So when you're a child and you scrape your elbow, do you go to the doctor? And people say no. But do you have to take like medicine to heal it? Not necessarily. It's going to naturally heal itself, right? So our bodies has the ability to heal itself when given the proper nutrients. So this is something that I'm engaging the audience. You say raise your hand if, or when you're online you say comment below when, and this is what I call to comments. You want to use call to comments in your presentation, a callback where when in the beginning of a presentation, I might say, hey, in this talk, I'm going to ask you a lot of questions. I'm going to ask you a lot of what? And then the audience says questions. So if you're at a live audience, you can actually hear the feedback. If you're online for a video or a Zoom call or something along those lines, just say, put it in the chat. Where are you from? By involving people in the conversation, involving people with the message, you're creating what I like to call yes momentum. With this yes momentum, then you're actually engaging them where they're by them saying a lot of micro yeses, like yes, 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 yes. You're creating action, you're creating movement, you're allowing people to be able to build up they're consistently taking micro action, so that by the time you present their offer, they're already in yes momentum. They've already been saying yes, doing yes, and involving action, like taking action. So by the time that you present the offer, then what are they going to keep doing? And the law of momentum states, an object in motion stays in motion unless acted upon by another force. So in other words, what that means is when your audience is in motion, in activity, and actually engaged during your presentation, then they're going to stay in motion. When you transition to your offer, they're going to keep taking action, which would be the buying action at that point, unless acted upon by another force. Now, what would be another force? That would be the repelling statements that we're talking about. And when you have a repelling statement, then it's not going to work as well. So, and that will deter people. They may have been sold, but when you say that comment that just makes them feel like, ooh, working with you is going to be a lot slower. It's going to be hard. It's going to be whatever. Then they tune out and lean out, and then they're not in motion again. Then they get put in inertia. See, there's a science to selling, and it follows these laws and of influence, these laws of the mind and how we make decisions. So instead, what you could do is be able to ask questions, and as you interact with people, then people start taking more action. Can you see how by involving people in a discussion, it would help to create yes momentum? Type yes in the chat if you could see this, right? And we're doing this as we're discussing it, just so that you can see what this looks like. And then also, so the second mistake that I found, why creating content was not converting, was that I was just speaking at my audience instead of with my audience. And the more that we're able to interact with them and have that dialogue, that conversation, it makes such a huge difference. And then the third reason is that is when I wasn't sharing stories that educate my audience closer to a sale. Dave MacArthur, who was one of the first millionaire mentors of mine, he made over $12 million on the back of a signature speech selling these health programs. And he shared with me that facts tell, but stories sell. And what we want to do is we always want to think of like a story as it's an arrow in your quiver. And if someone has an objection where it's like, I learned from him is that if someone's saying that, well, I don't eat, like I don't eat that much. I don't eat breakfast. I don't have lunch. I eat so little, and yet I'm so overweight, and I don't like it. So that's like an objection, is what I would call a vehicle objection, because if someone wants to lose weight, one option is just eat less, and the other option is to join a weight loss program. So you have to handle that objection and show why eating less is one of the worst things you could do. And so the way that he does it is he tells a story. He says, well, that's exactly how sumo wrestlers gain weight and make sure they stay like large, is because they skip breakfast, they don't eat lunch, and they gorge themselves at night in the evening for a big dinner. And when you follow that plan, when you starve your body, you're telling your body that nutrients is scarce. and a limited resource. So they start storing that extra resource. When you do eat, it sends a signal to the liver. It's like alert, alert. Like we need to store this because it's going through some hard times. So your body stores this as fat. And so those who are skipping meals is one of the things that's going to contribute from being overweight. So it addresses, that's what I call the sumo story. And by sharing that sumo story, it's now effectively overcoming in people's minds that if I just eat less, I don't need your program. If I eat less, then I'll be able to achieve my result. But you think about it like, okay, there's an objection. Well, here's an arrow for that, and you're going to pull the bow back, and then you're striking the target. You're being very specific. So when you're creating a signature story, you're sharing stories in a way that educates people closer to sale, that addresses their concerns in advance. Like, for instance, an origin story, where your origin story is when you originally were introduced to a concept or methodology that you learned. When did you learn that, like for me, like I had a heart attack when I was 12 years old. And it was because one man with a health message, he learned how to monetize his health knowledge and package his knowledge into a book and a program, and he sold it to my mother that I'm alive to tell the story today. And that's why I'm on a mission. I'm not just a man with a message. I'm a man on a mission to empower a movement of health educators to be able to get your message to the masses so that you could literally save the lives of the people who you're called to serve. And as you can see, when I share that story, it helps to answer the question like, well, why am I teaching? Why am I sharing this? Where it's really, it's not just the money. It's not just the clients that come, but it's my why behind what I share. This is what motivates me through this experience. And a lot of times there's a lingering question like, why are you wanting to help me? Or who are you that I should listen to you? What is that? Like, these are questions. There's universal questions. And whenever people are asking about mentorship, or when they're considering whether they're going to make a purchase or not, they want to know, like, why are you credible? What have other people said about you? So you want to have stories of people, or maybe if you don't have clients yet, you could even share principles that other people have applied in that you teach. And you don't say that they were your students, but you just say that these principles work in the wild. And if you could show evidence of them working, then that works too. And people want to know that how long is it going to take? They want to answer the question, do I have the time to do this? Because there's a lot of busy people, and people, premium buyers, they often are rich in money and poor in time. So if you're emphasizing all this work and exhausting effort and things, all this stuff they got to do, then they're like, ain't nobody got time for that. It's like, I'm too busy to fix my health, which a lot of times is how people got into this health crisis in the first place. So if you know that people struggle with prioritizing time for health, then that's something that we want to create content about. We want to show them why, how much it's going to cost if they don't prioritize their time. If we could identify what are those universal objections, fears, concerns, questions that go unanswered, that if these questions are unanswered, they're not going to buy no matter how deep you go into the microbiome or the genetic code of the DNA and how its expressions show up in your disease. Like, none of that is going to actually lead someone to make a purchasing decision. So what we have to do is we have to actually enter the conversation that's already happening in the mind of your ideal client. And you want to be using language and thinking about questions, concerns that they had the night before they met you. What keeps them up at night staring at the ceiling wide-eyed and unable to sleep, and that bothers them about their health. And if you could solve problems about that, if you could help them address those questions, it will really simplify so much more for you. So and this is exactly what we were able to help Melanie do, because she's a health educator, vocal wellness coach, and she has a consultancy. She's an international speaker, and she also was wanting to know how could she get clients through what she does with the voice. And I shared with her, she attended my speaker training and started learning about these story selling systems that I teach my students. And she came back, she said, everywhere that I speak, I've been using what I learned from Enoch about story selling and overcoming objections to secure 2 clients. One was a luxury resort in Indonesia whose clients are the ultra wealthy, so she was able to land a deal there. And then two, in New York, she was doing a voice training for a sales team, and she was using the same principles that I've been teaching throughout the entire training, and it led to being able to have a pretty nice payday. So these are the principles that work wherever you are communicating. When I say content, I'm not just talking about online. Content could be a conversation you have on a consultation call on the phone, or it might be something that you say at a church, or maybe it would be something that you speak on video, or it's something that's written, or maybe it's a book. Maybe it is in anywhere. Like right now, we're working with our clients, Dr. Kendra Lee, and she's publishing her book today. She's going to become a bestseller by the end of the day, and I'm really excited for her. And whether you are sharing a book, that you're going to be sharing stories that could transform lives, that could help you. What you're doing when you're addressing beliefs is you are addressing the very thing that holds them back the most. It's not a lack of knowledge of what to do. It's often the lack of belief around what to do. So we have reasons why we don't do things. And by these stories, you could address the very foundation that holds them back the most. Does that make sense? Type yes in the chat if you could start seeing that addressing the beliefs that prevents their behaviors, not just buying behaviors, but even all deciding behaviors, because the science of buying is a science of deciding. The same way people make any decision, whether they're going to change their diet, whether they're going to start exercising, whether they're going to apply any of the health advice you give, they still have to go through these questions. Does your advice work? Can I do it? Do I have the time to follow your advice? Do I have the money to follow your advice? Do I have the skill? And if you're not able to address these questions in advance, then you could be speaking till you're blue in the face and nobody's going to take advantage of your offers, of your advice. And then you'll find that you can create a lot of content. It's not just about creating content. It's about learning how to create content that converts. So when you think about creating these, being intentional or coming up with the objections, a lot of times people ask, well, how do I come up with these objections? How do I identify what my clients are actually looking for, what their questions are? How do I do that? If you're not used to it, it can be challenging. What the old way that we used to do it is we would get on a call with people, and when you do it yourself, you get on a call with. I've talked to thousands of people having sales conversations, face to face, belly to belly, knee to knee, and as you talk to so many people, you start recognizing these common occurrences that come up, and you say, oh, that was an objection. People say, oh, I would do it if you're helping moms to flatten their mommy tummy. But someone's like, oh, I would buy your program, but I'm not a mom, so this program's probably not for me. It's like, well, no, my program can help you because they do apply, even if you're not a mom. Or you start noticing that people have that concern. And also, like when you speak from stage, when you're sharing, and as I speak over and over, I start hearing some concerns that people have at the end. Then I go back and I refine and I put that in my presentation so that I can address it up front, so I'll never hear that again. And that takes months, it can take years. It takes a while to start collecting these. The second way you could do it is if I were to work with you, we'd be pulling out and extracting these when I'm coaching my clients on creating their signature speech. We get very clear and we get a detailed map of all the types of objections they have. And that's something that I love doing with our clients, is helping them create a message, a training that truly transforms. But another way that we can do it for you is, I realize that not everyone is ready or can afford my coaching, my consulting fees. But what we've done is we made it accessible and easy for so many people. In Skills Unlimited AI, we made it to where you can use our tool to help you come up with objections, questions, content, metaphors, and everything that we talked about today and more within just minutes. In moments, you can get exactly what your audience is looking for. So I'll give you an example. If you can come with me to this, here's what Skills Unlimited actually looks like. And what it is it is a AI agents where it's has these content creation agents that will help you to map out your content. We have offer creation agents that will help you to craft an irresistible premium offer that high-paying clients would love to pay for, help you identify who are your clients, all of those things. And basically, what we want to do is we want to look at the buying objection overcomer. So what this looks like is it's a special AI that's been trained for holistic health educators to monetize your knowledge online. And what you do is I have a short video that kind of walks you through how to use it. But as you use the tool, the more that you use it, the better that my AI studio gets to know you and your business. So it gets to a point very easily that you don't even have to submit anything. I've designed it to where all of these fields that are asking you to write something are optional. They're not required. So I'm going to leave all these blank and I'm just going to hit submit, and I'll show you what kind of stuff that you can get just with literally one click of a button. Now, if you do answer, one of them is saying, how many limiting beliefs do you want? You could pick. And as you can see, it starts generating all these questions here. And what it's going to do, I'm on the account of a client of mine, and she's helping busy professionals with type 2 diabetes to reverse that naturally. So an example is what it pulls out is by default, it's going to create 10. But we see these audience objections, which is basically the key here is not saying like, well, this objection is here, but instead you could turn them into a question, turn them into like a frequently asked question or something that people often want to know about. So you might ask like, how is your anti-inflammatory approach different from all the other diets I've tried? I've tried that failed. So whether you're teaching a detox juicing, intermittent fasting, plant-based diet, keto diet, whatever diet or nutrition plan that you're sharing, people are going to be asking, how is yours different than everything else? You don't want to like compare it as being better. You always want to show it that it's different and unique. But this basically you could put this on a slide or just share it verbally by even saying you might be asking, like, how is this program different than others, right? And the way that I answer is, and you can go into that. So it shows what is the limiting belief or the buying objection, and then also the liberating truth, where it's talking about anti-inflammatory eating addresses the root cause, which is inflammation, not just symptoms like other diets. And it gives you the teaching points you could use. Like most diets treat symptoms, anti-inflammatory eating extinguishes the fire caused by diabetes at its source, which is really cool. It gives you video titles, why every diet you've tried has failed and what actually works. Like that's a pretty solid title. I know, that's a pretty good title. And then it gives you illustrations that you could put easily on slides. Diabetes is like a house fire. Other diets throw water on smoke, while anti-inflammatory eating cuts the oxygen feeding the flames. So the inflammation is like your body literally burning on fire. So if we want to cut the oxygen from the source, then we get rid of the fire. And the diabetes, in this metaphor, actually, it was saying inflammation is like the oxygen, diabetes is like the fire. And as diabetes is burning up your body, that if you can get rid of the inflammation, then the diabetes goes away. So that's kind of what this metaphor is illustrating, which is actually pretty solid, pretty powerful here. And it even gives you call to comments that you can engage people. Have you ever felt frustrated that traditional diets only gave you temporary results? How many of you felt sick and tired of all these diet fads, these fad diets going in and out? Maybe you've tried it. Maybe like a yo-yo, you've lost some and gained it back, and it came back with friends, right? So that it walks you through different call to comments that as you answer the questions, each time you answer the question, it's going to educate the audience closer to sell. It's going to help that when they say yes to that, it's dislodging a limiting belief or a buying objection. So if you say the buying belief, then your audience can disagree with you. But if you ask the question and your audience says it, they're not going to disagree with themselves unless they're schizophrenic. I mean, if you're saying that that my anti-inflammatory diet gets to the root cause, they can say, well, that's not true. And they're like, I don't agree with that. But if you say that, can you see have how reducing the inflammation can cut the oxygen and stop the fire of diabetes entirely? Can you see how getting to the source is going to stop it? And then when they say yes, then they're ready to buy. They're not going to disagree with themselves. So instead of, this is like the second mistake I was talking about, is instead of speaking at the audience, you're speaking with the audience. You're having a conversation with them that makes it really powerful. So another example we see is here. One is someone who says, well, what if I don't have enough willpower to stick to an eating plan? And so the limiting belief is I lack the discipline and willpower. Now, if someone's thinking, you might have all the science, all of the best science in the world about your topic, but if they're thinking, man, I don't have the willpower, I don't have the discipline, I'm not really, a lot of my commitments I fall through. And if nowhere in your presentation you address that, then it's not going to convert to clients. There's a lingering question that went unanswered while you're over here talking about like rats in a laboratory. They're thinking, I don't have the willpower, so it's going to be hard to convert them to say yes. But instead, what we want to do is, like, the goal of every presentation, you want people to walk away saying, like, I could do that, right? So an example is, I showed you in the beginning, is all you have to do is push a button. And when you push a button, you get a list of objections, concerns, and then they show you how to share. How many of you feel that you could push a button and be able to share some of the ideas or concepts, make them your own? Like, type, I can do that in the chat, right? Or I can in the chat. So this is what we're trying to create, an easy button for you. We're trying to create something that's so easy that anyone could be able to do this, and it'll simplify the content creation. In fact, even just looking at these video titles, if you were to just go through, we've got 10 right here. We've got 10 of these ideas. You now have an endless amount of content. You will never run out of ideas ever again. When it comes to hooks for your videos, you could literally within seconds just describe a video. And like this says, why your past failures were actually learning experiences. That's cool. What's the objection overcoming? I've failed at health programs before and will probably fail again. And then they're asking the question, as they're listening to you, they're like, oh, it's so good. I could totally see how getting rid of inflammation is going to make me feel better, feel lighter, stop bloating, just have better energy. And I really think that it would work, and that makes sense. It does work. I see it's worked for other people. But then they're asking themselves, what if I fail again and I disappoint myself and my family like I have all the other times? And if you don't address that what if I fail mentality or question that people have, they're not going to buy. So instead, we want to create content, even though it may not seem like it's talking about health, it absolutely is. Because you could share with them that one way that you could show is that the past failures is not your faults. It's a lot of these programs are designed to keep you from losing weight, because the weight loss industry, they want you to be sick. They lose money if you succeed. They want you to be continually buying and subscribing over and over, right? And it says these previous failures, they weren't personal shortcomings. They were program limitations that didn't address the underlying inflammation. So yeah, there's a lot of programs that will sell you, but they're not addressing the source. If they're not helping you reduce inflammation, then it's not going to last. And we could share how past attempts are kind of like rough drafts. Each one taught you something valuable. So you're reframing failure not as failure is not final. Failure is the preparation for the final masterpiece of your health transformation. And you could see that this is showing that you learn from your experiences, and this concept like falling forward. And as you improve, as you do it, each time you get a little closer, a little closer. You're not the same person now that you were before. And he gives you some ideas. And if you don't like anything, or if you want to develop it, you want to say, well, what do you mean by that? Can you go more? You could literally just say anything you want here and say, I'm going to use this little microphone because you do not have to type, which is really cool. I really like what you're saying about overcoming failure and not looking at our past failures as final, but how they're learning experiences. Can you share with me five other objections that are, or five other ways that I could overcome this fear of failing with another health program? I want you to give me five more rows. And I'm calling them rows because it's on a table, right? So I'm just going to send that. Literally anything that you desire to express to the AI, it's a conversation. Just like you would talk to, just like if you were going to ask me questions about, well, how do I express this? I like this concept. What does it look like on a slide? You can literally say, how do I put it on a slide? What do I do with this information? Or you could say, here, can you give me more? Or whatever the case is. And what this will do is it will actually write out for you exact answers that you have. So this is actually pretty potent what it's capable of doing, and I am wondering why. All right, so it's giving these five more. It said, what if I start strong and lose motivation and quit like I always do? That's a great question that a lot of people have. What if my body doesn't respond like other people's and I'm just broken? That's a real concern that people have. What if this is just another program that works for some people, but not me specifically? What if I invest in this program and life gets in the way like it always does? You see how if we are not addressing these concerns, it would literally be impossible for someone to buy at the end of your presentation if these are not being addressed somehow or another. What I find that successful health educators do intentionally and consistently is they answer these questions with stories. They answer these questions with literally questions that they get to ask the audience. They answer these questions with content, with concepts, that every idea that you're sharing is addressing the fears, the underlying issues that come up from their audience. And you could literally do this with any offer, whether it's from weight loss or whether it's a fitness, whether it's a disease or cancer or juicing, like whatever it is that you're helping people to walk through. This buying objection overcomer allows you to really come up with a lot of ideas. You've got titles that could be hooks for your video. For whether it's a short video, you could literally take concepts like this, even just like a simple illustration where when we say, what if I lose motivation and quit, right? In illustrations, motivation is like the weather. It changes daily. But our program is like a sturdy house that protects you through every storm. Our program provides you the accountability that renders motivation irrelevant. It's unnecessary because we help guide you through the process. And people are like, yeah, that makes sense. My motivation has been like the weather. It has been changing. And then the call to comments like, do you believe that having the right support system is more reliable than depending on motivation alone? How many of you think that the right support system can take you much further than just relying on motivation alone? That changes like the weather. Type yes in the comment. And or I do. And then you're starting to engage with people. And as you turn your beliefs into questions, when you say it, they're going to disagree with you. But if they say it, they won't disagree with themselves. Now they're selling themselves that your support system is their best chance of overcoming their motivation hurdles and obstacles. And you're doing a massive service to people because without you intentionally addressing the real hangups that actually keeps people stuck, then guess what? They're going to be stuck being sick and overweight and disease, and they're going to have these problems. So you're actually helping them to dislodge the obstacles. It's like you're removing the rocks, the stumbling blocks in the way. In fact, that's what a forerunner would do. John the Baptist was a forerunner for Jesus, and what they would do is they would clear the king's highway. When a king would be traveling forward to go from one place to another, they would send people before them and they'd remove all these rocks and milestones and try to make it the less bumpy, the less rocky road so that it's just the smoothest path for the king to travel. And that's essentially what all of your content's able to do, is you're removing the stumbling blocks that would cause people to stumble on your content and not actually lead to sales. You're making it a smooth path for them. You're removing the rocky road. You're giving them the road of royalty and helping them to get to the destination they desire, whether that's losing weight, feeling great, having energy again, improving their memory, and you're helping them to fix their digestion. And whenever you're creating content like this, you're helping their life to be so much easier for them to say yes to what they've already desired that's in their best interest for their reasons. So I'm always looking at how can we make the lives of our students so much better, so much easier. And that's exactly why I put together the Skills Unlimited AI Studio. And this buying objection overcomer, it's designed to help you to identify them. And literally, there you can just push the button and get information, especially when it knows your business. But let's say you wanted to give more detail. You can literally start over and you say how many limiting beliefs or teach points you want. You could say 5, 10, 20, whatever you. If you leave it blank, it'll default to 10. So this is optional. But others, you could ramble in here and just describe what your content idea is. You can even do it for one teaching point. You can do it for a short video for a chapter in your book. You could do it for a slide or a section on your presentation, or a YouTube video that you're recording. Whatever it is, it can help you to outline your entire content. If you want to give it more specific ideas or instructions, that's fine too. But it's what we want to do is make it so much easier for health educators like you to get your message to the masses. And that's why if you think the buying objection overcomer thing is cool, I mean, you haven't even seen what we've created for you, what we have in store for you, and what our clients are able to do with these tools, because we've got tools on creating all sorts of content, from viral post writers. We've got things that will allow AI to write like you, where a lot of times AI doesn't get your voice and it just sounds like AI, but not write like me. We've got to help you to have an endless amount of stories, to literally take any story that you've ever shared in your life or gone through, and it'll tie it together to address a buying objection and educate people closer to a sale. And we did a whole video on this on YouTube about the story selling sandwich. But we've literally got things to help create hooks and emails and quotes and all sorts of things that can really make your life easier. So if you want to get access to it, what I'll do is I'll put a link to this tool in the descriptions. One of the first things, honestly, the first things I would have you to do is go to the health marketing map. This is a free gift that I have for you, and this will give you a single page document that will map out your entire marketing plan. On one page, it'll be exactly who you're serving, what you're doing, and it's going to walk you through this process. And as you have conversations with this health marketing map, it's a series of agents that will help you to one, it's training AI to know your business and you, so it's very intentional. But these are marketing tools. It's not like generic ChatGPT. These are structured frameworks that are proven to actually bring high-paying health clients. So I'm going to send you a link to this marketing map and freegiftfromenik.com/map, and then you can get started, get access. It's one of the best ways to start, and then you can check out some of the other tools. Sound good? And so what we're going to do, I just want to say thank you for watching the video. I hope this was helpful, and you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, because each week I share something else that is useful and helpful for health educators to monetize your knowledge online. And I look forward to seeing that your message resonating with the right people. And so definitely subscribe to our channel, and I look forward to seeing you in the comments. Let me know what stood out to you the most, what helped you. And until next time, remember, God doesn't call a qualified, He qualifies a called. Have a great day, and God bless.